What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Taras Filson. Today, we're going to be talking about the recent matchup between the Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks, NBA Finals. As you see, the Boston Celtics were just too much. They're too deep of a team. They're simply too talented, too well coached to lose that series. And yes, I did pick the Mavericks to win the series in 6 games. And looking back, it was a bad decision on my part. Looking back, I can admit that I was wrong in selecting the Mavericks. It's really nothing that the Mavericks really had that the Celtics didn't. That's the honest truth. There's not much that the Mavericks could do that the Celtics couldn't do. The Celtics had the better coach. The Celtics had everything that the Mavs had and surplus. When it comes down to it, Tatum, you can say what you want about him. JB, you can say what you want about him. You can say what you want about this Celtics team. A lot of people like to downplay this accomplishment, downplay their journey throughout this season, downplay their journey throughout this playoffs. They try to say they didn't play healthy competition. They try to say all these things. Oh, they had an easy path. You know, at the end of the day, none of that matters. None of that matters because at the end of the day, you don't pave your own path. You play who's in front of you. You take care of business based off of who's in front of you, you know? If the opposing team has injuries, what does that have to do with me? It's my job to take care of business. And that's what the Celtics did. They took accountability. They said, whatever happens, we're going to take care of business. It was straight down the line for them throughout this way. They kept staying focused. They kept making adjustments where it needed to be made. Shout out to Joe Mazzulla. Hope I'm saying his name correctly. Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics coach. Amazing. Amazing coach. He made the adjustments where it needed to be made. And you see the series, it's either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep the whole way through. And that's really impressive. That's a lot more impressive than people want to give this Celtics team credit for. Just a simple way that they just ran through the East. They ran through. They ran through the East. They dominated the East. They took care of business. They did what they had to do. And you got to give them respect for that because there's a lot of tough teams in the East. I know this whole narrative throughout the years has been, oh, the East is weak, the West is the tough beast. And yeah, the West is always going to be the West. It's tough. But this year, I'm going to be honest, there aren't too many Western Conference teams that I would have seen beating this Celtics team. There just weren't. I had the Mavs winning the series. I mean, if the Nuggets hadn't made it, I could have seen them beating Boston, maybe the Timberwolves. And those are the three teams that I would see like have a chance. I mean, the Lakers would have had a chance, but the Lakers weren't going to get there. Yeah, and to be honest, even if they did, just Missoula, the star power, the defense, the 3-point shooting that the Celtics had, it would have overmatched even the Lakers. It would have overmatched majority of the teams in the league. The best matchup would have been Denver and Boston. That would have been a great matchup. But overall, the series, I'm going to be honest, it was underwhelming. I really, really wanted to see the Mavs win this series in 6 games, or at least take it to 7 games. You see how great series become when you take it to 7 games, take it to 6 games, extend the series. Got to give respect to the Celtics. They took care of business. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. I'm so happy for Jaylen Brown to see him win Finals MVP. He was the best player in this series, no doubt about it. He took care of business on the offensive side, the defensive side, the leadership side. And one of the biggest elements of Jaylen Brown's game was when he took shots and he was hot, he kept composure. When he missed shots and things weren't going his way, he kept composure. He never let things get too big. He never let things slow him down. And I noticed that throughout the series. Just overall, this Celtics basketball team is well composed, extremely disciplined, and that goes back to Joe Mazzulla as well and Brad Stevens as well. the previous Celtics coach, who's now an executive for the front office. Clearly they knew what they were doing when they put together this team. A perfect balance of well-tested vets with young, feisty talent. And that's really what championship teams need to do, rather than this constant route of trying to form a big three or a super team. The Celtics have proven you don't need a super team. You just need a well-built team and maybe two solid stars. The Nuggets proved that, and that's what you need. You need that core, and everything else will fall in place. We've seen that with teams in the past, and we're seeing that again now with the Celtics. A great coach, young coach with great potential, and you got JB, Jason Tatum. You got Drew Holiday. What can I say about this guy? One of the most disciplined, effective leaders and point guards in the NBA. Drew Holiday is the definition of team first, team oriented. I'm going to do my job no matter what it is type of point guard. But I want folks to understand something. Sometimes it's not about the talent. Sometimes it's not about the ego. Sometimes it's not about the publicity or the popularity. Sometimes it's about, what are you willing to do for your team? And I'm going to be honest, a guy like Drew Holiday, every team needs a guy like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is the type of point guard that's going to put it all on the line for his team. Whether it be offensive, whether it be defensive, whether it be dishing it and getting the team involved with this passing game, whether it be leadership, speaking up for the young guys, speaking up to the whole team. That's what Drew Holiday provides. He's a star point guard. Let's get that understood. He won with the Bucks. Now he gets his second title with the Boston Celtics. Give respect to Drew Holiday. He's one of the premier point guards in this league. And throughout this series, he took on the challenge of guarding Kyrie Irving, and he had him on locks. I'm a Kyrie Irving fan. Kyrie Irving is one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I have to be honest. Drew Holiday had him on locks this whole series. The whole Boston Celtics had him on locks this whole series. They had him on lock. They had him on lockdown this whole series. I have to be real, keep it 100. And it seemed like their defensive method was, hey, let Luka have what he has offensively. Everybody else, you're getting locked down. And that worked. That worked to perfection, because Luka, he was playing through injury, but he proved that he was effective. So there's no excuses. He did his thing offensively. He has all the offensive skills in the world. But you know what it was for Luka? His temper and his lack of defensive ability and skills cost his team this series. It cost his team throughout this series. And it was just a big detriment. He couldn't control his temper. Defensively, Luka, he's got to improve. He's continuing the narrative that I've seen many times, repeated, and I'm not sure yet if I completely agree with this. I think at this moment I disagree. I don't think it's worth generalizing, but people believe European players are great offensively, but when it comes to defense, they're lackluster. And Luka perpetuated that stereotype throughout this series. And it was bad. I mean, there's times where it's like Luka's guarding JT. That's an easy bucket. He could drive. He could go mid-range, or he could just pull the three in his face, and it's a splash every time. What Luka needs to focus on this summer is defense, because he looks slow out there. Like, he's slow as a player already. He's slow offensively. But when you're slow also defensively, it's like, it's a liability. Guys are driving past easily. Let me scoop past you, get that easy jumper, get that easy layup, get that easy dunk. It's like Luka has to develop his game defensively, or else he's going to continue to cost his team in future series, in future finals if he gets back. I really hope he does. I really think he will eventually. But yeah, this was a tough series for the Mavericks. You just can't go down 0-2. And then when you go down 0-2, you lose that key game 3, because it's like when a team goes up 3-0, they're not losing the series. They're not losing the series. And yeah, you had that explosive, game 4 win to cut it to 3-1, but you know how rare it is to come back 3-1? To come back 3-0, then 3-1. It's like it doesn't matter. You have to start off with the fire. You got to start off with the adjustments. And you make them as things change in the series gradually. But certainly, I think Jason Kidd, he's a solid coach, but he was definitely a letdown in this series. Let's not try to act like it's all on Luka. Let's not try to act like this is all on the players, Kyrie. No. Get this through your heads. The Dallas Mavericks were completely outmatched. From head coach to the players to adjustments to composure to discipline, the Dallas Mavericks were completely outmatched by the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, you know how people say, act like you've been here? Well, they've been here, and they certainly acted like it. They act poised. They exemplified discipline. They stayed composed in those heated moments and didn't let it drag on. Mazzulla kept his guys focused, because it's like, if things aren't going your way, next play, next drive, get that through your head. Like, it's over now, keep it pushing. Luka kept dragging out certain things, and it's like, dude, get back on defense. Stop yapping at the ref. Your team needs you to get back on D, take care of business both ways. Luka seemed very one-dimensional throughout this series. He seemed, I'm going to go get my buckets, but on defense, I'm going to let you have yours. You can't win basketball games by trying to outscore a team every single night, because you're not going to outscore them every time. That's not how it works. If it's just going to be this back and forth scoring battle, you're not always going to win. You're not always going to win. And Boston clearly proved that as a team, they're going to outscore. They're going to outscore them. They're going to outscore them. They got scorers. They got defensive players, because at the end of the day, you got to score. You got to play defense. Boston, they were the better defensive team. They hit those tough shots that needed to be hit. They had great shot selection as well. Like, I noticed the Mavericks, you had possessions where you're getting the ball around, you're passing it, yes, but the final shot, you got Kyrie pulling up deep, contested shot. Like, that's not how you want to end the drive. Same with Luka. Driving contested fadeaway every time, or a random deep 3-point. Like you gotta have better possessions than that. Also, the bigs for the Mavericks, Lively, shout out to Lively, but Daniel Gafford was a letdown this series. Daniel Gafford was a letdown. I'm a Wizards fan, so I know Daniel Gafford. I've seen him play, and it's like, I know his potential. The dude he can be so much better than that. What he displayed this series defensively, I'm like, dude, what are we doing? What are we doing? JT's driving to the paint, easy. JB's driving to the paint, easy. Holiday, easy. And the only time I seen him put up any fight was in Game 4, when they were at the cusp of getting swept. But you got to leave that on the line every single night, and he didn't do that. That's how I feel. Also, P.J. Washington, Game 2, he sold that game. I don't care what anybody says. P.J. Washington sold Game 2. Drive to the paint, you get stuffed. Defensive end, a switch is made, and you don't switch with JB. You let a random, no disrespect to him, but you let a random switch on one of the best players in the world, Jaylen Brown, who's now Finals MVP. Lack of awareness, lack of discipline. Simply put, Dallas Mavericks were not ready as a team. They're not ready to win. on the highest stage. But the Celtics, it was their time. Banner 18, impressive. It's like a winning culture. A winning culture that just hasn't burnt out. It's still hot. The flame is still fiery, and respect to the Celtics, man. I have nothing but respect to them. The culture they've built is truly impressive, and other NBA teams need to take note. But not only that, other sports franchises need to take note to what they've done, because man, oh man, their future is looking bright. It's crazy because they didn't have to sell everything they had to get this title, like teams like the Lakers. They didn't have to do all that. They did it with the young players. They built the right way. So they won this title, and like Jason Tatum said,
You guys probably would say we didn't play anybody to get here, so we just have to do it again next year.
Thank you, Jason.
are you willing to buy a title, or are you willing to build a title? And the Celtics have built a title the right way, and they're going to keep building. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in the finals next year, possibly versus a team I thought that was going to go this year, the Denver Nuggets. That would be a good finals next year. But certainly, the Celtics have a bright future. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do. Congrats to the Boston Celtics. Congrats to Boston Celtics fans. And, it's been a long time coming. Ever since those Kevin Garnett days, they're back. They pulled it off. A lot of people said the Celtics weren't battle tested, but at the end of the day, they had all the components to win this series. From the jump, they've had that well-oiled machine. They had that. And certainly, that's why they won this title. In conclusion, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the Fourth and Goal Sports YouTube channel. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page. I'm your host, Tyrus Wilson. Have a blessed day. Peace.